I'm dangerously incompetent. This is World of Tanks. In this episode, the newbie's guide to signal range. Signal range is one of the finer points in World of Tanks that becomes less relevant as you go up the tiers. Which is a bit ironic really, because at higher tier battles you've got the experienced players, but they don't need to worry about it. In the lower tiers, where it can be a factor, people are too busy learning how to drive their tanks and shoot their guns to worry about such things as signal range. So for those of you who are in a hurry to end this lesson, here I'll keep it short and sweet. Buy the best radio you can and fit it to your tank. That's it. Off you go to battle, you impetuous glory hounds, you. Still around? Want to know exactly how signal range works? Good for you. I'm running XVM, which tells me the position of all the tanks I'm seeing. Draws them in bright colours, enemy in bright red, allies in bright green. It also tells me about the last known position of allied tanks that I'm not in radio contact with, and in pale red the last known position of enemy tanks who are no longer spotted, or who are being spotted but by allied tanks who are outside radio contact. Now obviously the more powerful the radio, the more likely you are to be in contact with your allies, but whether you're in radio contact with your allies or not depends on your radio and their radio. If your signal range plus their signal range is greater than the distance between you, then you're in radio contact. If not, you're not in radio contact. You won't know their exact position, and you won't know about tanks they spot. To give you a concrete example, look at the NC31 in square E3. He's drawn in bright green. I know where he is. We're in radio contact. My signal range plus his signal range is greater than the distance between us. Now he's spotting that BT2 in square F2. Now because he knows about it and we're in radio contact, he's telling me about it, so it gets drawn on my minimap. It would also be drawn on my artillery view if I was artillery, but because it is outside my tank draw box, it won't be drawn for me in arcade or sniper view. Now obviously that BT2 is well outside my view range, the blue circle. So if it wasn't for the NC31 spotting him and being in radio contact, I would have no idea where that BT2 is. So that is why signal range is important. That FTBS in square D2 is drawn in pale green. I don't know where he is. That's his last known position. He's an artillery, so he probably hasn't moved very far, but still, I don't know where he is exactly. And I don't know where any enemy tanks that he is spotting are. Because my signal range plus his signal range is less than the distance between us. We're not in radio contact. And that's signal range. Easy when you know how, but that knowledge isn't commonly known. It took me ages to find it out, to dig around in the manual for it. Now I'm going to fast forward until I get to show you another example. if you'll concentrate your attention on the D5, C5 squares and those tanks in there. We can still go a bit faster. There, watch the FTAC and the UC 2-pounder. There we go. Did you see the FTAC go from bright green to pale green? We've just lost radio contact. We're both moving away from each other, and now the distance between us is greater than my radio signal range plus his signal range. He can't see what I see, which is important because I'm just about to spot that T57. Meanwhile, that UC 2-pounder obviously has a better radio with a greater signal range because he's still drawn in bright green. He can see what I see, and since I've just spotted that T57, he knows it's there, and if that's within his tank draw box, he can see it, he can shoot at it. The FTAC, with his weaker radio, has no idea it's there. It's not being reported to him because we're outside radio contact. So, now you know all about signal range, which for most people, most tanks, isn't an issue after tier 4, but below the tier 4 it can be, especially if you're scouting at the front or your artillery hiding at the back. Toodaloo!